Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are checking out a movie from, let me just make sure I do this properly, from 1992. Well, at least that's what it says on the back here. It might be, it says 91 and 92, so, I'll just stick with 92 for the time being. But that movie is Boyz in the Hood. Cool. I object to really sort of like using the phrase hood movie because I don't really think it's like the sort of thing I really like talk about, just because I think they're like better phrases than that. But this, for the lack of a better term, is going to be my very first watching of a hood movie, because if I had to be honest, let me try and list any of the hood movies I've ever actually seen. No, nothing. I haven't seen City of God, Friday, New Jack City. What was that one in that Denzel Washington was in like 2001? I can't remember. What was it like? No, I can't remember what it was. Menace to Society, Do the Right Thing. Straight Outta Compton. I've not seen any of those movies. And actually, so you know what? Speaking of Straight Outta Compton, this does have Ice Cube. And this really was kind of like... listen, my history, from as far as I understand, the NWA, there isn't really too much, but I think this is like early 90s. It's like when they were like really big, similar to like Snoop Dogg as well. I'm pretty sure this is kind of like when they were like taking over LA or something like that. I don't know. You see, this is why. This is kind of like a problem, because I don't technically know a lot about the history of like, you know, rap and stuff like that. So you'll forgive me if some of these things are a little bit, you know, out of place. But then again, this isn't really good. This isn't about the NWA. This isn't anything about anything like that. This is about doing Boyz in the Hood. And if I had to list anything I knew about this movie before we get into this, well, I would be lying. I generally do not know what I'm getting myself into, but we'll find out very shortly. So, with all that being said and done, it is time to stick this thing in, and we're going to find out right now. So, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Boyz in the Hood. Well, guys, that was Boyz in the Hood. Let me shut that off, and the fucking ending to that just... I can't even fucking get into it. Well, I'll talk about that in just a moment. And I know John Singleton, God rest his soul, and I'm going to be completely upfront with you guys. I think, honestly, this is one of the best movies I think I've ever seen in my life. I'm not even joking. This is like top 5 for me. And I'm going to tell you exactly why in a short moment. So I'm just going to like talk very, very briefly about the story. Trey is this... He starts off as this smart mouth kid growing up in South Central LA in the mid-80s. He learns a lot of lessons about responsibility and like adulthood from his father Furious, and and then it goes to like 7 years later, and all this shit about Doughboy getting arrested, coming back out of juvie, Lil Chris ending up in a wheelchair, Ricky having all these aspirations to, you know, being a pro football player for the NFL, and well, basically the movie doesn't really so much has a story. It's mostly just following these guys, and the fact that Ricky's got a wife, he's got a kid. Doughboy's mother seems to just love the shit out of Ricky more than our Doughboy, and I'll get to why that is in a second, because one of the things it becomes incredibly clear is that either they don't know, they don't show, they don't care about what's going on in the hood. That's I think, I mean, Ice Cube looks intimidating no matter what context or whatever film he's in. But Ice Cube, he was probably he probably knows this shit by the back of his hand. And I don't blame him, because I reckon that's exactly why he wanted to get away from it. Because they developed this whole story about Ricky trying to get into university. Then it becomes apparent when this punk police officer who just wants to just... I reckon there's this video game called Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where they have this corrupt officer called Tenpenny, voiced by Morgan Freeman. I think it's Morgan Freeman anyway. And he basically just points guns in people's faces no matter what, and he's an absolute piece of shit. The officer in this movie, he looks like he is just ready to just kill anybody. And that's when it like became apparent to me, like when we're like nearly with about like 40 or so minutes to go, when Ricky starts some shit with this gang who have this enormous MSG, and they start looking for Doughboy, Rick, Chris and Trey, and it becomes apparent to me that this shit happens literally every day. Police, just some guys who want to start some shit, literally just want to start killing each other. And Furious makes this great speech about... I think they said they went to Compton and all that, and he gave this message about why there's like a liquor store in every corner, why is there a gun store, because they just want to start killing each other, and something about, you know, the property goes high up, and then it means they could just turn anybody in and out when they want. I'll have to like go back and look at that if I remember to. I'll probably be watching this again anyway, because it becomes a... Listen, I would not care less if there was a 4 hours director cut of Justice League. Why would anyone want to pay more for a movie that was already bad in the first place? That's completely up to the SOBs up in Warner Brothers who want to do that. I'm more interested in movies that teach responsibility. Ones that teach the harsh reality of adulthood, the real world. That shit is more interesting and more compelling to me, more than Batman saying "Save Martha," or Superman. Or I couldn't care less. One of those. I think both of those guys said "Save Martha." I think I don't know. And just it cracks down to Ricky getting murdered in a drive-by, and Doughboy, to avenge his death, he just decides to just take out these guys and brutally shoots like all three of them in the back of the head. If it's retribution. That's what it is, and it becomes I feel like the worst thing about what I've just seen is that this is not just a work of fiction. This is just I bet this was just a story that Ice Cube had when he was when he was in Compton or something like that, and he heard all these stories and that. And I reckon more often than not, everybody involved in this movie knows what happened, and they decide to just show it to all the world. And this was back before OJ killed everyone in LA. And I'm more convinced at this point, utterly more convinced, that it's not just Ricky getting murdered. It's not just those the drive-byers who get murdered. This shit happens every single day, and for what? That's the thing I find. Like when Trey is trying to steal Furious's gun and that, and Fury just kind of like, oh, you bad now? Bad? That's what you want to be? So, you know what? Go and shoot me. That's when you realize the utter futility of this life, of living in a place like South Central LA, is that this is what it boils down to. Throwing away any career, your life, just because you want to get paid back. And I don't even think... I reckon people who do that drive-bys, they've literally got nothing to lose. That's the only reason they're even so much as brave enough to hold a peace and just start killing people over some shit that means absolutely nothing. That's what these people do. They kill others for absolutely no reason. As far as I can so, they just decide to just... Because it was Doughboy who was showing this drive-bys that he had a piece in his belt, and they just kept walking, and that's really how like all the shit began, with these just guys just going. And Ricky has this remarkable breakdown where he wants to get out of LA as fast as possible, because aside from being with this officer holding this gun into his throat, it's full of people killing each other, starting shit, and police just pulling him over for absolutely nothing. Because I think as far as the police are concerned, this shit always happens with black people. They are always the root cause, and they will always be the end of it. So they've got to be the ones to deal with it. And this officer just... He cuts out all of this shit and just fills it with his own, and decides the only thing to do is just take him out like that. Like I was saying, the futility of it all. Ricky getting murdered for absolutely no reason. And then there's this horrible thing that happens. They said that the next day, Doughboy saw his brother get buried. Then 2 weeks later, Doughboy got murdered. And Trey ends up leaving South Central and goes to university in Atlanta, Georgia. And Brandy, his girl, just lives in a college around the way, I think they said. And that's kind of like how the movie ends. It's just about following these guys round the hood and realizing that the day-to-day life is starting up shit, either going to school, starting up some shit, plotting to kill people, plotting to buy drugs, stealing from stores because they've got absolutely no respect or absolutely no life worth living. How did Dr. Dre put it again? They was riding to the death. That's what Doughboy, and that's what I don't know whether or not like Lil Chris, like anything happened to him, because Lil Chris or anyone else, but I'm pretty. It wouldn't surprise me whether or not they just didn't know what happened to Chris. Lil Chris, I should say. And this is... And this shit probably happens every single day in South Central LA. And it makes you... Because I'll level with you guys. I'll love you about something. I'm 23 years old. I at no point in my life can ever recall or ever remember any one of my friends dying. It's never happened once, and I'm glad it hasn't happened. But that's only because at some point someone will die. That's just natural. Somebody will die, you know. You can't live forever. It's just how it is. But a few years ago, there was somebody who I didn't know particularly well, but I knew about him. We had a few classes in that. This really tall kid. And then I heard some news that he was diagnosed with leukemia and that he'd already lost all his hair. And this was a kid. This kid had like, he was like a sports. He was interested in sports and shit. And then this news kind of like, I heard this rumor from someone that said that this guy who had been diagnosed, and I've literally heard nothing about this story ever since. And I have no idea what to make of that. Because, like I said, I didn't know this guy too well, but we went to the same school, and sometimes that's all you really need to know about someone. Boyz in the Hood is like one of those movies where you realize that you think your life is bad. All they grow around is violence, poverty, drugs, this no role model. Furious is the best the best sort of role model I think anyone could ever have. He knows what's up. He lived around this shit all of his life. Shit. That's just I'm absolutely like, it's one of the most compelling and films I think I've ever seen in my life, and it's, man, fuck Justice League, fuck DC, fuck Marvel, fuck DC, fuck Dark Horse. Give me more of this. Give me... I'm gonna friggin' go and watch Menace to Society. I'm gonna watch friggin' Do the Right Thing Friday. I'm gonna friggin' watch City of God. And because there was a movie that came out a few years ago. I think it came out in the same year as La La Land, and it won an Academy Award, Moonlight, because I heard that was a movie that was kind of like very similar to Boyz in the Hood, where I think it's about this guy who just grows up in the hood and he's trying to keep on the straight and narrow. But I remember that because they were talking the shit out of La La Land and how people loathed it, people thought it was ridiculous, people loved it, and there was some shit about where this announcer got the nomination wrong, and they said, no, Moonlight is the winner. We got it wrong. La La Land didn't win shit. They spent more time talking about that than they ever did about Moonlight. I fucking want to see Moonlight. I heard it was a great movie. And I gotta... But it's gonna take a lot to really, I think, beat Boyz in the Hood. Boyz in the Hood is... It makes me want to do something better with my life. More than just me. Which is why, ladies and gentlemen, I had this thought literally watching Ricky all throughout this movie. I'm going back to university. I'm going to do a writing course. I'm going to get my shit published. I'm going to get myself a second chance. That's what I'm going to get. This ain't living. This is just existing. I'm going to get myself a proper life. I'm going to get myself a degree I can actually, want to have framed on my wall. I'm going to get my shit to any publishing house. I'm going to get my shit sold. I'm going to get myself friggin' made. You know what? Doughboy, how old was he when he was murdered? 18, 19, something like that? Do you really think I would have had anything to show if I was killed at that age? I nearly died at 13. You think I'm gonna leave anything behind after that? Do you think when I turn 24, 25, 26, do you think by the time I'm gone I'll have anything to show behind? Unless I actually do anything about this now, no, I won't. That is what this movie is to me. It says, you gotta sort your shit out and do it now. Sorry about that, guys. I got a little bit, heated, but that is how powerful what this movie is. So, I hope all of you guys have enjoyed this review of Boyz in the Hood. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the movie yourself. And I hope to see you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.